Guys, welcome back to the Retro Review series where we are now looking at November. We are going to be going from 30 years into the past all the way to 5 years ago. So from retro into mostly modern day and having a look at this particular month throughout the ages. So join me as we discover November. Let's get to it. 30 years ago. Coming right out the gate, we have Mortal Kombat 2's initial public release to arcades everywhere November 1993, just weeks after porting the original Mortal Kombat to home consoles. Mortal Kombat 2 had players returning to the tournament for control over the Earthrealm. After his defeat to the Earthrealm warriors, Shang Tsung convinces the Emperor Shao Kahn to call another tournament, but this time held in Outworld, forcing the Earthrealm champions to come to them, giving Earthworld's champions the home field advantage, this time around making the tournament far more dangerous. Mortal Kombat 2 saw the standard improvements of graphics, gameplay, movement, etc., but more importantly, made massive improvements to the carnage. Mortal Kombat 2 introduced the audience to new fatalities, expanding on specific character fatalities, including the all-new stage-specific fatalities, such as punching the loser into spikes on the ceiling or into the abyss below, and non-violent fatalities. The game also introduced players to new characters, including 2 Earthrealm champions, Jax and Kung Lao, and 3 Outworld champions, Baraka, Kitana, yes, we know she's a goodie, but remember she was introduced as a baddie, and Melina. Finish him. Fatality. Toasty. Friendship. Okay, it didn't really sound like that, but that's how I kind of think of it anytime I used to play this game. Okay, let's go. This comic book adventure game was initially released in November 1993 to MS-DOS, featuring a story following Steve Purcell's animated PV Vigilante duo as they solve their most recent case. Sam and Max get a call from the city commissioner to check out a nearby carnival that has reported a robbery. When they arrive at this carnival, they discover that a frozen Bigfoot named Bruno was set free, also taking Trixie and Giraffe Neck Girl as he fled the carnival. Sam and Max must now go on a whirlwind adventure from tourist trap to tourist trap to discover the truth of Bruno, ain't nobody talk about Bruno, no, and other missing Bigfoots. What is the truth? You can't handle that! Okay, the truth is Bigfoot Tribe is sick and tired of being used as tourist attractions by humans. Bruno helped break out the other Bigfoots, who also hated being attraction, and now the Bigfoot Tribe intends to use a magic spell so they can no longer be caught by humans. The game featured a fairly simple pre-rendered comic book atmosphere that allowed Sam and Max to solve each stage in a point-and-click interface. Each puzzle served as a level in the game and next step in their investigation to solve the case of the missing Bigfoots. Unbelievable skies, indescribable feelings, soaring, tumbling, freewheeling through an endless diamond sky. A whole new world. Coming November is Disney's Aladdin, the game, and Disney's Aladdin, the game. Man, the 90s were a strange time for movies coming to video games. Somehow, not only did Disney manage to double book the license to Aladdin, but also managed to have both titled as Disney's Aladdin, and both released November 1993, following the movie's release to home theater in September. First up, releasing November 11th, 1993, the Sega version of Disney's Aladdin, created by Virgin Games, featured you as Aladdin moving through levels designed to emulate various iconic scenes from the movie, but Aladdin is armed with a scimitar for some reason. Following that, Disney's Aladdin for the SNES released in November 21st, developed by Capcom. This game also featured you as Aladdin, moving through levels designed to emulate scenes from the movies, this time with with no sword, and in typical Nintendo style combat, Aladdin must jump on the heads of his enemies to take them out. Interestingly enough, both games released to rave reviews and performed fairly well for titles based on a Disney movie, both including their own highlights and fan favourite gaming moments. Being ported over from Sega, Spider-Man the Kingpin came to Mega CD, November 93. This port took full advantage of the expanded memory available when switching from cartridges to CD format and included several improvements and expansions to the original game. The game takes place shortly after Peter becomes Spider-Man in a jam-packed couple of weeks where the Kingpin establishes a crime empire. Dr. Octavius is turned into Dr. Octopus, and Peter and Mary Jane get married only to have Mary Jane kidnapped by Eddie Brock as Venom in a conspiracy with Kingpin. Just to name a few key points leading up to the final fight with Kingpin, while Mary Jane is hanging and slowly lowered into a pit of acid that will kill her if Spider-Man is too slow to defeat Kingpin in time. The CD version of this included some basic upgrades to the game, including the likes of Spider-Man to move and wall climb significantly faster than in its previous version, but also included some serious overhauls, including fully animated and voice-acted scenes in full-blown classic Spider-Man cartoon style to move storyline along rather than still scenes and text. It also included an all-new soundtrack performed by the band Mr. Big, allowed for non-linear gameplay, and included 2 all-new levels, including Mysterio and Vulture in an already villain jam-packed storyline. 20 years ago. Out on November 11th, 2003, we have Beyond Good and Evil, a lesser-known cult classic video game featuring a badass eco-warrior and photojournalist known as Jade as she fights an evil organization and exposes their dark schemes to control Hillis. Jade appears to be just an average Hillian running an orphanage and attempting to make a living as a photojournalist in a time of strife. Her planet Hillis is under an invasion from an alien force known as the Doms that keep abducting the various peoples of Hillis to turn them into slaves. Okay, we're all caught up? Yes? No, you aren't? Oh, well, we haven't mentioned the militant government of Hillis called Alpha Section and the People's Resistant Iris. Seriously, guys, there's a lot of people and factions in this, but these will be more important later, okay? We'll get back to them. Okay, now we're all caught up. So after the game gets into real gameplay and storyline, we have Jade and the orphans now been taken by the Doms. Alpha Section is no help, and help only seems to be coming from a mysterious group from the people called Iris that agree to help you in finding the kids if you would also in helping them in freeing Hillis from both the Doms and the Alpha Section. You go from mission to mission to eventually find out what you probably figured out from the first time you asked the question, why doesn't Alpha Section just stop the Doms? That Alpha Section and the Doms are one of the same force. Dun dun dun! The Doms kidnap the people and turn them into zombies to fill the ranks of Alpha Section to subjugate the people of Hillis. The story features some great dialogue and voice acting, from the time at least, that goes from downright hilarious to deeply sentimental. Some really great graphics and gameplay, and banging soundtrack. On November 18th, everyone's favourite murder simulator stealth game, Manhunt. Manhunt takes place in the same universe as Grand Theft Auto, so you know it's going to be violent. You play as the convicted death row inmate James Earl Cash after the authorities faked his public execution. Finding himself still alive, Cash is now working for someone that calls themselves the Director to take out members of other gang factions around the city. After thinning out the numbers of these gangs at the order of the Director, we are then double-crossed by him and discover he is in fact the infamous Lionel Starkweather, known for making and producing snuff films. Yeah, I don't do any of that stuff at all. Check out my J for Pay. Cash is now set on revenge in exposing both Starkweather and the corrupt police involved in the snuff ring, crescendoing in a final scene of Cash and a chainsaw administering some justice snuff style on Starkweather. The game featured 20 levels referred to as scenes, with an additional 4 bonus scenes that can be unlocked. Each set of scenes featured Cash unaliving thugs using mostly improvised weapons found scattered throughout the level. Attacks against enemies vary from simple and fast to complex and very graphic. It's your move! Yu-Gi-Oh! It's time to duel! Yu-Gi-Oh! Released November 21st, bringing Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game to PC for the first time was Yu-Gi The Destiny, the first of 3 Power of Chaos games. Since this was the first game in a series, Yu-Gi The Destiny mainly stuck to the basics of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. It featured 155 cards, the majority of which were from the Yu-Gi starter deck and the Legend of Blue Eyes Dragon deck, and lessons on how to play the card game from Yugi himself. The game also features intense duels with varied opponents on different battlefields from the show. Yu-Gi The Destiny, as the launch of the Power of Chaos series, once again proved to the world you do not have to reinvent the wheel when releasing a digital version of tabletop games. If the original game is good enough, it will hold up on its own. Great sentiments. Released to console and PC November 18th through 28th, this game takes us into the graphic novel universe with all the comic animation style and visible onomatopoeia floating text effects to boot. You play as a character known only as 13, a man with amnesia found washed up on the Brooklyn shores with a gunshot wound. The only thing he remembers is he was shot while on a boat. Everything else is a blur. The only things on him is a bank card with no name and a tattoo of the Roman numeral for 13 on his shoulder. Shortly after 13 is arrested by the FBI and charged with assassinating the President of the United States, only to be in custody when someone known as the Mongoose attacks the FBI. In the middle of the chaos, 13 is broken out of a holding cell by a female soldier known as Jones, who 13 recalls having worked with in the past. As the story expands, you eventually meet a character named Walter who tells you of a plot to overthrow key members of the government and take their place in an attempt to take over the United States and install a totalitarian regime of their very own making. This group calls themselves the XXs, 20 high-ranking military leaders and intelligence agents, each with a tattoo of a Roman numeral from 1 to 20 on their shoulder. Undeterred by this revelation from Walter, 13 decides to take down the remaining free and alive members of the XXs to stop the plot and end the conspiracy once and for all. Flash forward to job done and the coup put down through the usual secret agent tactics, lots of sneaking and lots of killing. We find 13, Jones and Walter relaxing at the sea on Walter's yacht. After excusing himself, 13 wanders his way into Walter's private office, only to discover Mongoose attempting to contact one of the XXs. It is at that very moment 13 remembers he's been in this very same office before, and Walter is number 1. The leader of the XX conspiracy. This was the very boat he was on before washing up on the beach, ending the game on a cliffhanger. Coming out for Game Boy Advance on November 18 was Medal of Honor Infiltrator. Designed to be a tag-along or expansion game to Medal of Honor Rising Sun for the GameCube, using the Nintendo connectivity option, players could then use the maps from Infiltrator in Rising Sun for free play maps. The main storyline of this game featured the tale of Corporal Jake Murphy as he fights against the Axis powers in some World War II's best known battles. The game included 15 missions overall, from which 5 of the missions took place behind enemy lines. Players could do multiplayer using the connectivity cable, allowing up to 2-player co-op. Additionally, upon completion of the game, players unlocked survival mode, which was a leaderboard style competition to beat the other players' best times for surviving wave after wave of enemies. And max GI mode, in which players must play through missions continuously without powering off the Game Boy to finish the campaign. 10 years ago. Project Zomboid released November 8th in the middle of the Walking Dead and zombie action craze. This open world survival RPG gave players one job and one job alone: survive as long as possible. Literally, this is one of those games where you just see how long you can survive, but rather than just being able to survive a wave or a few waves of enemies, this game includes additional aspects to manage, like your character's general health and well-being, require you to also seek out safe places to rest, eat, build weapons and other daily tasks in a post-apocalyptic world. Think The Sims meets Dead Island. While the gameplay is open world with little direct narrative, Project Zomboid did still provide players with a canon in the form of radio broadcasts heard throughout the game that recount the 9 days it took civilization to fall to the zombie apocalypse, which provides both world building and information, and a hilariously desperate attempt by the army to cover up the outbreak. Released to Xbox on November 22nd, Killer Instinct, featuring everyone's favourite busty protagonists. No, not me. I'm talking about Orchid and Jago. Dim and Dum, respectfully. This is essentially both a port and expansion upon Killer Instinct, released to the SNES in '94, and This game took most of the story elements from both Killer Instinct 1 and 2 for its Season 1 content, with the main change being a secret boss level against Shadow Jago. Followed by most new expanded content and game canon for the remaining seasons and post-season editions. The game also featured 14 new characters with full backstory applied to the Killer Instinct universe upon release of the final season. Like its predecessors, the game featured fast-paced, smooth and visually beautiful fighting. Characters and levels give more of a real modern world meets dark fantasy vibe to the fighting tournament style game, rather than the visions of hellscapes MK typically provides. Coming out on November 22nd was The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, a direct successor to A Link to the Past. Taking place a few years after the events of A Link to the Past, the evil sorcerer Yuga has defeated Link and kidnapped Zelda her to a parallel world of Lorule, where he intends to resurrect and merge with Ganon. After meeting a mysterious merchant named Ravio, he pimps out Link with a bunch of new gear, which include equipment with the ability to travel between the worlds of Hyrule and Lorule. Once in Lorule, Link encounters Princess Hilda, who instructs him to free the sages to gain the Triforce of Courage so he can defeat Yuga. Upon freeing the sages and gaining the Triforce of Courage, he returns to Hilda and a couple of double crosses take place. You see, Hilda's help wasn't so altruistic after all. Hilda and Yuga are working together to get the Hyrule Triforce pieces from Link and Zelda, so Hilda could restore the realm of Lorule. But Yuga has his own plans for Triforce and betrays Hilda. Link has his final showdown with Yuga, and after finishing him off, he restores both Princess Zelda and Hilda. Hilda, upon revival, goes into a long apology and explanation regarding her desire to restore Lorule and the land of order it once was. Ravio, the merchant from the beginning, then appears and reveals himself to be the Lorule counterpart to Link. He and Hilda then vow to restore Lorule. Upon returning to Hyrule, Link and Zelda now use the gathered Triforce and wish the Lorule Triforce and realm restored to its former glory. Link is then shown to return to the Master Sword to its pedestal and departs Zelda and the sages to return to his humble life once again. Enough of that. Released to the Wii U, we have Super Mario 3D World, the sixth fully 3D game to the Mario franchise. After the introduction, which alludes to Bowser kidnapping the seven Sprixie princesses, our heroes head to the Sprixie Kingdom to free the Sprixie princesses. After going through the seven worlds of the Sprixie Kingdom and freeing all seven princesses, seven, and more sevens, there's just something about Mario and sevens. I just still don't get it to this day. There's always seven, like seven worlds, seven everything. Bowser shows up once again and kidnaps all seven princesses again. He uses a super bell and turns into a cat version of himself called Meowser. Yeah, very clever, Nintendo. All these shenanigans then unlock the game's final world, an amusement park, themed fortress with Meowser as the final boss. Once the heroes have beaten Meowser, freed the seven Sprixie princesses, restored the Sprixie kingdoms, and say goodbye. Oh my god, I'm just doing that again. Once the heroes have defeated Meowser, freed the seven Sprixie princesses, restoring the Sprixie kingdoms, they say goodbye to their new friends. They return to the Mushroom Kingdom with another adventure finished. 5 years ago. And here we come with 2018, released on November 27th. Darksiders 3 was a departure from the previous hack and slash gameplay mechanics of the previous games for a Souls-like mechanic instead. This game has players controlling Fury, one of the four horsemen summoned to by the Charred Council and given the task of hunting down the seven deadly sins who have taken physical form and escaped their imprisonment. Fury is a mage-like warrior specializing in a whip, sword, flail and dagger combat, while also wielding elemental magic to vary her combat abilities and styles. The game is set as a prequel to Darksiders and takes place in a parallel universe to Darksiders 2. Fury journeys through a ruined and post-apocalyptic Earth, helping innocent humans and defeating the deadly sins until encountering the final deadly sin, Envy. Envy tells Fury that the Charred Council is not as neutral as they would like to appear to be and have their own ulterior motives, and then flees before Fury can finish her off. Returning to the Realm of Balance, Fury finds out a whole lot of information very quickly. The Watcher, which is a member of the Charred Council, turns out to be really Envy in a different form. Envy in this form tricked the Council into sending Fury to kill off the other deadly sins so Envy could take their powers. Just before throwing Fury back to Earth, Envy also reveals that the Charred Council set the Horsemen and Sins against each other to get them out of the Council's way. Betrayed, weakened, exiled back to Earth, and just outright mad as hell, Fury, with the help of the various humans that she has helped earlier, come up with a new plan to defeat both Envy and the Charred Council. In doing so, Fury gets her revenge and also gives humanity a chance to escape this version of Earth for a more favourable one, with Fury following them as their protector. Coming to home console for the first time on November 16th is Pokemon Go, Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee saw the return of Pokemon Yellow's style of world map exploration, having your starter Pokemon following behind you. Let's be real here people, this was just Pokemon Yellow ported and accelerated for the Switch. It featured the same walk around Pokemon mechanics, the original Kanto world, same legacy gym badges and Elite Four, as well as Team Rocket featuring Jesse and James and Meowth. That's right. To protect the world from devastation, to unite all peoples within our nation, to denounce the evils of truth and love, to extend our reach to the stars above. Jesse, James, Meowth. That's right. What? You didn't think I was going to not take this opportunity to do this iconic duo's theme? Come on, guys. You know me better than that. The game also featured a special Pokeball controller called Pokeball Plus, which featured the same game functions and usage, but also doubled as a storage device players could load their Pokemon to and take with them to their friends' homes. Players that purchased the Pokeball Plus also got access to Mew that came preloaded on the Pokeball Plus. Cash grab, and cash grab, people. Look, they weren't even subtle about the shameless tactics to get kids to force their parents to buy them this game. Just watch the Ash Ketchum commercial.
Hey, I'm Ash. And this is my partner, Pikachu. Pikachu! You can take your own Pikachu on the latest Pokemon adventure for the Nintendo Switch system. Whoa, check it out! You've got a Pikachu with you too! You guys really make a great team. As your bond grows, you'll work to become the best Pokemon trainer you can be. Are you ready?
Guys, thank you for joining me tonight on this lovely nostalgic whirlwind trip from November 1993 all the way up to 5 years ago. So almost to modern day as we speak. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, feel free to like, comment and subscribe below. It will definitely help the channel out and grow. So thank you so much as always for being able to tune in and spend a little bit of time with me today. Until next time, guys, you stay sexy, San Diego.